you go from here?
Well, we obviously got to get better. I don't know. I mean, I've been watching film for 2 days. We obviously have to get help there. I just don't know. Haven't figured out. We're gonna. I think everybody, Bob, is always forced to either force to the baseline, you play pack line, you force it to the middle, but you're still forcing it to help. And got to find a way that the secondary defender can help stop penetration without being called for a foul. We're working on that.
Does it really change the way you have to coach?
Mm-hmm. Drastically. Yeah. And not the touching on the ball. That's not. I mean, that's fixable. I think, to a degree. It's the secondary defender.
Coach, when you went point drop in the second half, did you see anything there that you liked?
You look funny holding that camera. You know that.
Advantages or disadvantages to playing a zone in this system?
Well, point drop didn't work. It's just, Justin. It's we got so much youth, and it's and I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just you only have so much time. And I think the worst thing we did was transition defense. But we're trying to get everything in, and we've played against people who are going to press. We've had to do press offense. We've had to do a lot of stuff, and try not to do it real fast. And what I said the other day is very accurate. I mean, everything's very vanilla, and it's hard to change things on the fly, and it's hard to make very many adjustments because we just don't have the knowledge to be able to do that yet. And that's not a knock on them at all. That's just we just haven't had time to do it. You can't expect them to know things that they really do that nobody's ever taught them.
Do you think this rule change could maybe be the same way the shot clock in the three-point play or the three-point shot, changing the game, the rule change?
It's changed the game. Come on. Well, were there the Seton Hall Niagara game? There was 100 and some free throw shot. That's changed the game, I'd say.
Do you have to sort of guard against that, the idea that, hey, drive to the hoop, they're going to foul you, and you go to the line error, so that maybe sometimes they weren't even focused on the rim when they were going for a layup, they were just focused on drawing that foul. Is that maybe, just as important on the offensive side, that you don't just try to completely take advantage of that idea?
In all due respect to Aaron, if he was quoted correctly, why would you shoot the ball and not look at the rim? That doesn't make any sense. And they hear every day, get your head on the rim. So the contacts, you don't worry about the contact. You worry about having your head on the rim and finishing.
How long do you think before officials start calling the rule consistently? They're still learning to call the rule, right?
Well, I think they're probably as confused as we are. Honestly, I could lie, but I'm not very good at it. It's different. I mean, it is so dramatically different in that, and it's a secondary defender. I mean, it deals more with a secondary defender. I mean, you're going to get, I don't know, probably since I played, it was advantage, disadvantage. It's no longer advantage, disadvantage. If I touch you and you're going backwards, it's a foul. And that's never been the case. If you were going sideways before and I touched it, it wasn't a foul. It was if you impeded progress. It's not that way now.
You say the change in coaching is dramatic and different. What can't you coach? What can you coach? I mean, as far as basketball goes, playing the game.
And I mean, I say too much all the time and get myself in trouble. But the way it's set up, the best athletes. It's set up for the best athletes to win all the time. It's set up the way the NBA set up. The NBA wants high scoring. The NBA wants the best players to play. They want the best players playing in the playoffs. They don't want a team that can, that they don't want the old, I guess Detroit Pistons. When the hard foul stuff and all that. They don't want that. But they call more charges now in the NBA than they're calling college basketball. Well, they're calling it in the NBA, though. I mean, not like they used to call it in college basketball, but they are calling it. The problem, Bob, is once they beat the primary defender, how do you stop them? Well, if you have a shot blocker, honestly, when I had Kenyon and our guards, I had freshman guards, and they didn't guard great, but we had an unbelievable line of defense. I not only had him there, but I had Jermaine Tate there. And I had the guy who was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year in the league was Pete Michael, who could really guard. So you didn't worry as much about it. If you have a great shot blocker back there, you don't have to worry as much about it. They're just, those guys don't fall off of trees. There's not very many of them. And so the guys who have the best players have the best chance to win. And you can't negate that. You can't negate that by, trying to maybe take some charges or take people out of what they want to run. And really, honestly, the games come down to a dribble game where good, bad, or indifferent, I guess, depends on what your preference is. I mean, for years and years and years, everybody wanted to know how Bob Knight ran motion offense, because that was the way the game was supposed to be played. It was all motion offense. It was screening, cutting, reading screens, slipping screens. I mean, you know that. I mean, you followed that closely. And now it's gone to who sets screens now? Everything's a ball screen.
Zone make any difference?
They're screening zones. They're ball screening zones.
How do you coach your kids to take charges when you don't know what a charge is?
I haven't.
You don't spend any time on it as much as you used to?
No. I mean, we a little bit, but not.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard on guys like Gary Brown who are used to. I mean, Gary grew up. That's what Gary grew up doing, was trying to get there, get in position, and.
Coach, does it change rebounding wise too? Players afraid to put a body on a body?
No, I don't think so. What's changed rebounding is everybody's so spread. Everybody didn't used to be so spread. Used to be a high post and a low post, or two low posts, and flash a guy in the high, and they played high-low, and they had three guys playing around them, and screens and all those kind of things. And now everything is spread and penetrating pitch. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I mean, it's certainly in today's game, that's the way to play the game. But it's a lot easier to block out a guy who's standing beside you than a guy when you're off to help and he's 10, 12 feet away from you and he gets a running start at you.
Is it less important to shoot, to be able to shoot?
Well, I mean, I think you got to be able to shoot some, Bob, or you wouldn't. I guess they'd stand five guys in the lane. But I was just watching tape and I saw a guy catch a ball at 17 feet and the guy backed off of him about 8 feet, and he still drove it at him. And you'd never see that ever before. And he got 3-point play, by the way.
This puts a premium on shot blockers right now. Yes, you got it.
Yeah, but I mean, John, there aren't a lot of them. I mean, there aren't a whole bunch of them out there.
Are you gonna dust off that Dick Bennett tape and study that one? Because it sounds like
I looked at it. Yeah. I don't know.
Obviously, Juwan's been doing so much for this team. Minute-wise, I mean, would you like to get him a few breaks, or does he have to keep doing this throughout the?
Oh, I thought we could. Then we didn't have Terry, and then you don't know how much Gary can go. He wouldn't have played, I don't near as much as if we'd have had everybody available. Gary, I didn't think Gary would even play on Tuesday. The way he went down on Monday night and was carrying his leg. And and as I said, it's not a game that you can. That's why they send guys to the D League and the NBA after they get hurt, or that's why you can't. It's very much a timing game, and when your timing's off a little bit, you're not going to play very well. That's why you have to practice.
You said the same type of thing about Terry for the last game. You can't just plug him back in and expect him to be right there. Do you know what his status would be, and how well he's going along for Sunday?
He's going to practice. I mean, I don't think he can go the whole time. But then you get into the other stuff, the questions that I think John asked. I mean, would we play Wani less minutes? Well, you'd play him less minutes in practice too. But when you got guys sitting over, those guys have to practice. Yeah, we don't have anybody else. So and I think the worst thing we did was our transition defense. But it's you're trying to get so many things in, and secondly, how much do I want to run them up and down, those same guys?
Switching gears, Mess just announced the 2 recruits. Can you comment on the 2 guys you signed at the early sign period?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to ask a question, or you just want me to ramble?
Sure. Talk about it a little bit.
So it's why you could have just said ramble.
What did you see in him? How can
We saw Javon in July, and all of us were kind of in and out of there, and every one of our guys. I mean, I really liked him. Eric, Larry, Ronnie, everybody liked him, and I don't think anybody had any questions. He gets his hands on a lot of balls. I mean, obviously the first thing you notice is he's got pretty good size and he can run a team, but he gets his hands on balls. The more you watch him, he makes shots. You get 18 a game playing, at Proviso, you're a pretty good player. And he reminds me a little bit like Truck in that he's got that body. He's got a strong body, and he can make shots. I think he's probably Truck had more of a scoring mentality. I think Javon will maybe have more of a passer mentality than what Truck's. But physically, kind of they're the same. They've got those strong bodies, and he can make shots. He's very capable of stringing a bunch of shots together. And I think the thing that we haven't had great athleticism. And I think we need to upgrade our athleticism, and Dax does that for us. Dax he's got great end-to-end speed. He's got really good quickness. He's explosive. He finishes at the rim. He's very, very athletic, and the way everything's going, I think you need that. I think you need to be more and more athletic.
What about Duquesne? You know, watching much film on them yet?
Yeah, they're. I don't know. I mean, it's a year ago we thought they'd press and run up and down, and they didn't. They packed it in, I think, which was a smart thing to do. Obviously, they won. It was a very smart thing to do. But I think what they'd like to do is they would like to press. They want to speed the game up. They want to play fast. They want to score out of transition. Everybody's kind of got the green light. They all shoot it. They'll kind of invert sometimes, and their three bigs will be out running a three-man weave. They're I don't know if the word's unconventional, but they do some things that you don't see a lot, and they're going to play man. They're going to play zone. They'll change things up.
This game still did it mean anything special to Ron, or does that matter now? Do you think?
I don't know. I flunked mind reading. I was hard class for me, man. I don't know. We haven't. That hasn't even been brought up.
How about Gary and Remy in that game against Vodtech offensively? They made some shots. How big of a positive was that for you?
Well, Gary's been making shots. Gary, I've said all along, Gary has been one of our more consistent shooters. And I think Gary gets open. Gary needs to shoot the ball. We recruited Remy to make shots. He struggled a little bit. He struggled a little bit. I think early on trying to figure out what he was supposed to do, and then having a knee surgery, and we got to get him to where he understands what's a good shot and what's not a good shot, and that's in terms of what's going on at the time. Time, score. What's on the shot clock, or do we have the ability to rebound? Good shots you can rebound. We took a whole bunch of them. We had no chance to rebound. Those aren't good shots.